Behold the Panasonic S9, a small camera that's big on features. In today's episode, we're going to take a first look at this mirrorless marvel. Panasonic's S9 is a 24 megapixel full-frame mirrorless camera and the smallest Lumix S camera on the market. Small in size, big on colour and features, the camera will tick a lot of boxes for content creators who want to travel light when shooting stills and video. Available in 4 colours, jet black, crimson red, dark olive and classical blue, photographers will find a lot of what made the S5 II so cool in this smaller body. Importantly, the face detection autofocus is present, but there's also active image stabilisation to help out in low light conditions. In the hands, the Panasonic S9 might take a little getting used to, as it's actually smaller than the Panasonic G9 II from the Micro Four Thirds lineup. The rounded body is light on dials with just one control dial next to the mode dial on the top plate. There is no EVF, but there are buttons on the back for AF on and a dedicated LUT button as well. There's also a D-pad on the back. However, there's only one SD card slot, and this is found where the battery is accessed on the bottom of the camera. The battery is the BLK22, which is also found in the S5 and G9 II. Now, I know what you're all thinking, what is this actually weighing at? Well, the body tips the scales at just 486 grams, which is ludicrously lightweight for a full-frame camera, and this will be the main selling point, I think, of this camera. With no viewfinder to use, photographers are limited to the LCD screen, but it's a decent size, it's 3 inches, it's very angle, you can flip it around for selfies, and it's a decent resolution too. It should also be pointed out that Panasonic does offer an optional grip that attaches to the bottom of the S9 and provides a much more pronounced hold on the right side of the camera. Now look, the resolution of 24.2 megapixels is fairly standard on full-frame cameras these days, but the L mount does ensure there'll be plenty of lens options out there for photographers. But where the S9 really seems to stand out is its hybrid options. The S9 introduces a new recording format called MP4 Lite, and by shooting open gate in 420 10-bit in 30p or 25p, Panasonic says creators can capture high quality videos in the optimum format for smartphones and can be easily resized for social media content. This will be especially popular with photographers who are shooting out in the field and want to upload their content on the go, perhaps at events. Other video highlights include the option to shoot 6K video at 30p or Cinema 4K at 60p. There's also the option to shoot slowed down 2.4 times slow motion footage too. This doesn't tell the whole story of the video options though, as Panasonic's chosen to include a dedicated LUT button, as I mentioned earlier. This gives videographers the option of trying out different LUTs to see what looks good in different scenarios. And if you use the Lumix Lab app, you can download LUTs via your smartphone. Panasonic's V-log profile is included, and this is a log profile that I really rate. Not all logs are great, different camera brands have their own, and not all of them look that great, but Panasonic have really got the colour science down. And I shoot a lot in Panasonic V-log, so I'd really recommend this. One compromise in the video stakes though, because of this small body, you do have a mic port, which is fine, but there's no headphone port, which is a bit of a shame. So enhanced audio can be recorded using a wireless mic, but you can't listen to that audio unless you have something like the DJI mic, where the transmitter has its own headphone port. So you can listen to the audio on that. Also, if you open up this little door at the side, you'll find an HDMI port, but it's not a full-sized HDMI port, it's a slimmed down version. And there's a USB-C port here. That means you can charge the camera on the go using a power bank so that you don't run out of power. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room and that bold styling. To be honest, I think it's going to be divisive, and personally I would stick to the jet black option for the colour design. However, I can see the more colourful bold red, green and blue designs being popular with content creators. This camera reminds me a little of a throwback to a Pentax mirrorless, very short-lived Pentax mirrorless called the K01 that came in all sorts of different colours and has the similar sort of shape. If you like that sort of thing, great. If you don't, just go for the jet black option. Also worth bearing in mind when using the S9 is which lens you're going to pair it with, because a heavy, fast aperture lens might make the setup quite front heavy. I'm using this with the 20-60 variable aperture lens. It's a lightweight lens, it does the job absolutely fine, and actually when paired with this camera, the S9, it's quite a balanced setup, so it doesn't feel front heavy and it still feels fairly small in the hand as well. The menu system is typically Panasonic. If you've ever used an S5 or G9 II, you'll feel instantly home, and I do like the anodized red record button for when you're shooting video. That's very G9 II as well. I don't think this is the sort of camera many videographers will build a rig around. I think that's more likely to be the case with the G9 II and the S5 II. But it does feel like more like a candid camera that you will just carry about, shoot bits of content here and there, upload it to the web, and go on from there. In terms of stills from that 24.2 megapixel full frame sensor, you can shoot in JPEG and RAW, and the max file size is 6000 by 4000 pixels. That's big enough to shoot prints in A1 size, so no issues in that respect. The full frame detail that I've seen is impressive, and typically what you'd expect from a sensor from that size and that megapixels. One thing I would encourage people to try is the different picture styles. I really like the vivid picture style from the S9, but I think a lot of people will also like the Leica monochrome option too. It's a high contrast black and white feel to the frame, and it'd be really good when you're shooting street photography. The native ISO range is fairly decent, 100 to 51200. This can be expanded down to 50 to 204 800. So this will help you shoot images in low light conditions. Because it's a full frame sensor, the ISO noise will be handled really, really well, and you shouldn't have any problems shooting in low light. Now, I doubt Panasonic is marketing the S9 at sports photographers, but it's no slouch, this camera. It can shoot a max burst rate of 30 frames per second. Whether you'd want to use that or not is up to you, I guess, and of course you'd have to have the right memory card in the slot in the bottom of the camera to cope with all that right speed data. So what do I really think about the Panasonic S9? Well, it's something genuinely different, and that's always to be encouraged from camera brands. I see what Panasonic are trying to do. They've squeezed a full frame sensor into this tiny body, and it is really, really tiny. So content creators, I think, will go wild for this camera. It is missing some ports and parts that I would like to see. The headphone port is really important for the stuff that I shoot. So that is an issue, although you can get around it, as I explained, by using the right wireless transmitter. It is packed with features. It does have image stabilization. The screen is really cool, although if you do want an EVF, you're out of luck. However, for the price, it's going to be priced at £1,499 in the UK. I think this is a genuinely tempting offer that content creators will snap up. But what do you think about the Panasonic S9? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.